Hey guys, welcome to the Keeping It 99 podcast here with episode number
25.
Yep. And we're here, me and Mena, with Karen.
Our servant.
Yes.
Hi guys.
And
so glad to be here.
Good pride and bad pride. Is there good pride?
I believe so.
Yeah.
So like where does the threshold lie between like
So just like anything else, there's good anger, there's good jealousy, there has to be good pride.
yeah, but like where's that line? Like, you know, like what makes something that's good pride turn into bad pride? Like what is that like? Then you're like, okay, now it's bad pride.
When you don't, so good pride goes into bad pride when you forget the source or who the credit goes to. So for example, we were talking in Sunday school today about God working in me. I can be proud of the work God is doing in me because at the end of the day, it's not me. But when I forget where the source comes from or who owns the credit, then now I've become blind to what it is I'm actually proud of. I think it's myself. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So forgetting the source or forgetting to whom the pride is due to, that's when you've crossed the line.
For me personally, I think like the threshold is when you're so prideful you don't care for others. Like it just like rules you, like it has control over you.
Which happens very quickly.
Yeah, it does.
Because we're all very used to being the center of our own universe. So it actually takes a lot more effort to get out of that. So you don't want to take the threshold too far, is that you've stopped caring completely.
I mean, yeah, I agree with both those points, especially with like what Mona said, where pride is kind of like a bad pride is like, for me at least, it's like when I start almost like putting myself like above others, as if like I believe that I am better than others in a sense. And I feel like a lot of times, like, you know, perception is reality. So
Is it?
I believe perception is reality. Yeah.
That's very interesting. Okay, continue.
You want to talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's going to come into the conversation.
Yeah. But yeah, like, so if perception is reality, right? A lot of times you have to think about what you do, like how other people see it. Okay. Not like to let that drive how you act, because you don't want other people to drive how you act, but at least be aware of like the surroundings around you. Be aware, like if maybe your personality just doesn't match with people around you, you can't be prideful to an extent that you're like used to, I guess, in some like good fashion. Some people get like the bar is lower and higher. Like everyone's got like a different what they, you know. So I feel like it's also important to see the perception of others.
Yeah, I think so. And I think not only in pride, but in anything else, the way that you act should be reflecting the people that you're around. And it doesn't mean to be two-faced or to be different all around, but for example, me with my best friend is very different than me with my Sunday school kids. It's very different than me and my brother. Even though I'm close to my best friend, I'm close to my brother. And, you know, I'd like to think that I'm close to you guys. But still, like, my attitude, my way of presenting of myself, my boundaries, those all change. So your sense of pride is the same. But I still think that anyone who, and maybe this is just how we define pride differently, but anyone who is full of pride is forgetting who the credit is due to. Because when you acknowledge the credit that it's due to, you are proud of that person, not of yourself.
Yeah, I agree. But I want to go back to the point of like perception is reality, because I find that interesting. That's like,
okay. Actually, when you explained it a little bit, I got a different impression. So what explain your
so for me it's like, so there's two sides to this argument of perception versus reality. There's when you take it too extreme and it becomes like relative truth. I mean, that's like when it's like what I believe versus like what's good for me and what's good for you. Like, right. You could, like, I don't believe in that. I actually think relative truth is completely bogus. Like completely disagree with that mentality.
Okay.
But it is still a reality to you. If I see something in one light and you see it in a different light, they can both be correct opinions. We just see it the same like situation, like a
But
different way.
But you've pretty much defined that truth is relative. It's so close to being the exact
It's
same
very.
thing.
I feel like for relative truth, the issue that like you fall into if you keep talking like because everyone has to have a different perspective on everything, right? It's impossible for everyone to have the exact same perspective. But where relative truth, it becomes a lot more like opinionated, where it's like because people can have wrong perspectives.
Right.
So then if
Actually,
you say,
I think everybody to a degree
Yes,
has a
to a
wrong
degree, yes.
perspective because
then-
nobody's going to perceive everything.
and then when you take that and you say that's not true, that's where you start to fall into this relative truth, because then you believe everything is correct. So I think that's like perception, like having perception be reality. It's just like a fact of life, but it's when you deny that there are shortcomings in your perception and shortcomings in the perception of people around you, and you believe that everyone's right in their own way, that you start to meddle in with this like relative truth.
Is there any room for the two to exist?
Well, relative truth cannot exist.
At all?
I believe it cannot exist at all. Because, I mean, you even see now with like society, like the direction that society is heading in.
But you
You know?
literally explained relative truth to me, or at least one of the theories of it, and said that you're okay with it. Can there be
Yes.
both relative truth and absolute truth? Is there room for them to exist together?
Do you have any thoughts?
I feel like they could, but to an extent. Like
So,
some person
I'm
or
interested
someone.
to know what that extent is.
Relative truth is like when something is good for me but not good for another, right?
No, relative truth is like what Isaiah was explaining, is that we all have a perception, and we can't say that our perceptions are not reality. Like the way that I perceive something
Yeah.
can be truth, but you might perceive it a different way,
And it's still truth.
and it's still truth.
Whereas like there's not one
Correct
more correct
answer.
answer. Yeah.
Oh.
So there's a story that it's not necessarily related, but it can turn into a conversation here. This kid runs into church in the middle of liturgy and starts yelling and screaming and cursing and throwing things, and just the kid goes wild. Okay? One person gets upset. One person gets angry. One person, and probably most of us, are cracking up, trying to hold it in. Okay? And all of us have a different reaction. This isn't necessarily talking about truth. This is talking more about emotional response. But I still think it holds value here. Each of us reacted to something happening a different way. Is one reaction more valid than the other?
No.
Okay? So you can take that into relative truth as well. So I perceived, or I digested, or I processed something a particular way because it hit me a particular way. That process, that that perception, I can't call it not truth, even if you didn't have the same one. That's what makes us human.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you take out relative truth or how you explained it, we're just robots at that point.
Exactly. It's all of us doing the exact same thing, but we're individuals.
Yeah.
But the thing is that like, I agree. I think that's like a good point. But so there are absolute truths, like 1 + 1 = 2. Like, you know,
Yeah.
there are absolute truths. And then the issue comes is that, because you realize the word relative truth. So there's like, you're, instead of like absolute, like this for the same thing. So for 1 + 1 = 2, you can't have a relative truth that 1 + 1 = 3.
Absolutely.
because
Yeah.
there is an absolute truth. So I think the distinction comes as when there's an absolute truth, there cannot be real, because that doesn't make sense. And then it comes to things where there are opinions, where there is a scale, where there is like a, you know, a diverse amount of opinions, where there are relative truths. And I would go to agree that some truths in certain, because it still has like a factor of truth in it. It's not fully like how you perceive things. There is a factor of truth. There are some opinions that are more correct than others. I believe that there are such things as wrong opinions. That's a personal
Sure.
belief, but
Sure, and there could be wrong opinions. And actually, you did a really good job, and I was about to do the same thing, is that the explanation I just gave you has a hole in it, and it's the one that you just said, is that opinion, an emotional reaction. Okay, these are not truths. So we need to define what is truth to figure out how can it be absolute and how can it be relative. So let's go back to this example. What this kid did offended me. Is that a truth? Is that a fact or is that an opinion?
that's an opinion.
That's an
100%.
opinion.
But what is the opinion?
That it offended. Well, no, because it's the truth that it offended.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Do you see what happened? So the offense is an opinion, but it offended me. That is a fact. That is something that happened. You can record it in history. Do you see what I'm saying?
It's a good one.
Okay. Yeah.
But
So it's
I'll-
truth to you. Like it's
What is the truth?
Well, so
Yeah,
the fact that
I
I
mean-
got offended is true.
yeah.
The reason I got offended is an opinion.
but that's not, then it's not relative truth, because now it's an absolute
So
thing
now it's an absolute
that you
truth.
got offended.
But
It's not
can
relative.
someone argue and say that she didn't get offended, she simply got triggered?
But here's the thing with that. They're not the ones, they're not you.
Okay.
So they can't know that you got offended.
Welcome to philosophy.
I'm not smart enough for this. But see, but then now you have an absolute truth within a relative truth. And that was another point I was going to make, is that every single thing, a lot of things, because we're very limited, right? There are a lot of things that are absolute truth that we think are relative truths, just because we cannot understand it. And a very, 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 very good example of that is religion. There is an absolute truth. We
Yeah.
just don't know it. So we come up with all these relative truths. And some of those relative truths have to be more absolute, like closer to the absolute truth than others.
Okay.
You know, I'm not gonna, like, obviously, like, I don't know which one.
So what you're saying is trying to come up as a visual for me. There's an absolute truth in the middle and rays on the outside.
Yeah, I'm a very big visual guy. Yeah.
Oh.
That you can get closer and closer to, is that how kind of the spectrum works?
Yeah, and then that's the whole with relative truth, because now if some of them are more true than others, in an absolute fashion, by saying what's true for me and then what's true for you, like it's true for you, it's not true for me, and I have a different truth. Now you're taking that line and you're making it a circle, and that is impossible because
not?
there is a closer to the actual truth and there's a further. So for example, if you have an opinion on something and you're close to the truth and I'm far away, and I go, what's true for you isn't true for me. I have now taken my truth and put it in the absolute truth and said that my truth is true for me and yours. I mean, now we've taken all these relative truths and we've created them into an absolute truth.
Can you give an example to explain this better?
Yeah, I'm low key
Because we've
lost.
said truth so
Yeah.
many times.
I'm trying to think of one that's not like super political.
It's raining.
It is raining, yeah. All right, I have one. It's kind of political, but we'll just
Sure.
use it for the sake of
It's
it.
it's just for the sake
So,
of
for
it.
example, like abortion, right?
Sure.
There is I'm not going to say, like, there is an absolute truth of whether it's right or wrong, okay? And then, for example, please, like, I have to make it so clear. For example,
You picked a really bad one.
it's the best one.
Can we change it?
It's the only one that came to my mind. For example, because this one's very easy. There's only like not only two opinions, but there's for simplicity there are two opinions.
For simplicity's sake, there are two opinions.
For example, if the truth is that abortion is wrong in all cases, we'll just say that. We'll go very extreme. Say abortion is wrong in all cases, and someone has an opinion abortion is wrong unless the mother is in danger. And then someone goes, no, abortion should be completely legal. If the truth is that abortion is completely wrong, then the first opinion is closer to this absolute truth than the second opinion.
Okay.
But if I'm a person of the second opinion and I say, no, that's your truth and this is my truth, now you've taken the second opinion and you have put it into the absolute truth, and they're complete opposites.
Right.
And so now you've created this issue, and then now you completely diluted the absolute truth, completely tarnished it, and now you've created something that had an absolute truth. Now there's no more absolute truth to it. And you apply this to so many different things and so many different politicized opinions, and just in general, like another thing is like another political thing, like the LGBTQ community. Like whatever their right opinion is, I'm not going to say what my opinion is. Whatever it is, like now if we keep going through and we keep making every single thing a relative truth, in the end, there will be no absolute truth. And then we fall into this point where it's like, I live my life, you live your life. And the issue is that we are communal beings. We are made to be in community. We're made to be connected. Right. And so when we purposefully break that connection, it leads to a lot more negative things like depression. Like everything is so connected. And then when you have those like mental like illnesses, like for simplicity, and you're like depressed, whatever, now you start to have more issues that create more relative truths. And so then you're in this cycle until there's nothing really absolute left. So that's my issue with relative truth. That was a really, really long answer, but that's kind of...
But it's a good one. And yet I still think that we haven't defined truth.
Well, it's almost impossible to define truth. But yeah.
So how will we ever reach an absolute truth?
Because truth is God, right? So we cannot fully understand God, so we cannot fully understand truth.
Very good.
So it's kind of hard to answer.
We will have absolute truth.
Yeah.
I mean, we will have relative truth.
Yeah, that's like the original point. Like there are things that we won't understand, so we will have relative truth to it. But the issue is when you take that and you run with it and you apply it to everything, things that have absolute truths to them.
Sure, I agree. But the two can exist.
Yes, but not on the same like point. Like they can exist in general, but they can't exist in the same thing. Like 1 + 1 = 2, 1 + 1 = 3. Like they can't exist both on there, but I can say 1 + 1 = 2, and then I can have a theory about whatever's subjective.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
They just like something that is objective cannot have a subjective opinion to it because it doesn't make sense.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Can something be right or wrong have an absolute truth?
That's what
Is it?
like if there's an absolute truth, there's a right answer and a wrong answer because it's absolute.
No. Like you were talking about abortion. Let's talk about morals.
Well, I feel like there is an absolute truth.
Do you think so?
Yes.
Okay, you want to explain that to me?
Using the abortion example or a different example?
No, any example.
So
Because
I'll use the morals example because it's a little less politically charged.
Because this goes into the question of is everything black and white or gray? I feel like Mona has something to say.
Go, Mona. Do you have something to say?
Black and white versus gray.
Versus gray?
Like, is there like a gray area or is everything black and white?
I think there's a gray area.
Okay.
I think on a human level there's a gray area, but the reality, the real truth, there's only black and white.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we just tend to mix it. Like,
no, we just don't fully understand it. That's what I'm going to say.
So, in that case, Is free will good or bad?
Both. I think it's both. Because you could always have.
I see where you're going with this.
I don't, but you could always.
So it's both.
Free will, you could do drugs,
Right.
or you could become successful.
Right.
It could be either or.
If I'm gonna put free will in a ball and I hold it in my hand, let's package it into something tangible. Is free will, that authority, is that a good thing or a bad thing? Is it right or wrong?
It has to be right.
Yeah.
Why?
Because God gave it to
Yeah.
us. Therefore, it has to be right. That's my response.
That's a good response. And actually, that response supports abortion. Do you see what happened?
Oh, yeah.
Abortion is nothing more than having the right to do something. It's not saying that doing it is right. It is having the free will. And therefore, if you say abortion is wrong, you're saying free will is wrong. Now, the real argument with the abortion is, should laws
Like govern
limit
it. Yeah.
moral and immoral actions? What are laws for? So now the argument isn't even, is abortion right or wrong? It's
Yeah.
what is the job of a law?
No, I agree with that. Like when we come to like current day, like what we're discussing, whether like abortion is, we're not actually saying is abortion itself right or wrong, but we're saying like, should it be governed by the law?
Yes.
So, yeah.
And that's where the discussion should be. Because
Yeah.
to be pro right or pro choice is the word, or pro life, these are both valid points that are, sorry to say, ordained and designed by God.
Yeah, I feel like honestly, pro-choice
Which is a bold
versus
statement. I'm not giving my opinion on the political
Yeah.
view at all. I am presenting to you what is the actual
I
discussion.
mean, I feel like when you really look at it, pro-choice is talking about this free will aspect, and then pro-life is just talking about the personal, like this is
Wrong.
whether it is a like this is a person. So there, it's not even arguing the same thing.
No,
they're
it's not.
arguing different things.
And that's why they will never come to an agreement.
Wow.
It's
I'm
a-
flabbergasted. I'm so serious. How did you like correlate that? That's crazy.
Philosophy. I've always been interested in philosophy.
That's a new one. There's the title, guys, right there. If you clicked on this video, now you know why.
Karen.
That
Any
blew my mind.
thoughts? Mona, give
Completely
me
blew
some
my
of your
mind.
thoughts. We're not even on a specific topic anymore with this
Yeah,
conversation.
no, we started with something.
we ended
But
somewhere
here's the
else
thing.
completely.
That's kind of how I want this like podcast in general to go. So.
Okay.
But anyways, Wanda, go ahead. Any thoughts?
Any reactions? Anything that
see this
stuck to you?
face?
It's precious. Is it too loud when I laugh? Oh, hey, you're wearing the thing now.
Isaiah,
It's
you
not
could
that
go.
loud.
It's a look.
You could start.
I don't know what to say. I mean, it's just like actually, so the conversation of free will to me is super interesting.
Yeah.
Super because like a lot of people that like, you know, I have friends at school that ask me all the time. It's like if God knows like what you're gonna do, why does He give you free will? And it's like, I mean, it's kind of like off topic. Well, I guess the whole thing is off topic. But
No, I mean, yeah, that's fine.
it's like
We didn't have a topic.
it's like no, we did not. It's like God knowing what you're gonna do versus making you do something is completely different. Or
Absolutely.
like the big question, like if God knew that Adam and Eve were gonna eat the tree, why did He let them do it? And the answer is because He loved them.
Yeah.
Because free will is the purest form of love. So I heard something, I forgot who said it. It was some sermon. Probably I actually have no clue. But where it's like when a parent has a kid, right? They want to give their kid as much free will as that's safe for the kid, right? As you get older, you have more freedom. Does not mean your parents don't love you when you're younger. Like don't take it out of context. But the free will is a form of how they love you. And if your earthly parents who, suck at everything can give you that good gift of free will, how much more free will does God give? Right? Not saying that my parents suck. Sorry. Yuana's face kind of scared me. But, no, but like that the earthly
We
parents.
can have a parents serving conference.
Oh my god. Because we're human, parents are flawed. I'm flawed. Parents are flawed. Everyone's flawed.
Everyone's flawed.
But if flawed people can give that good gift, how much more does God give that gift of free will? And it's not like it doesn't hurt God to watch humanity, watch whatever. Like it's not fun, but it's.
Can I play devil's advocate?
Please.
And it's not really devil's advocate, but can I kind of answer the question in an unorthodox way?
Sure.
Yeah, go for it.
Abuna and everyone, this is not Sunday school. Don't fire me.
Yeah, sometimes
If Adam and Eve didn't sin, would God have ever been able to express his love fully?
I hate this question. I actually hate this question so much.
Really?
I
love this question.
Because
it shakes me.
Because it's very easy to fall into a heresy if I try to answer this.
Okay.
So easy. But, do you have any thoughts?
And again, we're under the catalog of devil's advocate. Let's talk freely and see where it takes us. Okay. And then we'll be like, hey, that's a
wrong.
heresy. Let's not do that.
Right,
because ABC. So let's just have a conversation.
Well, let's hear your thoughts.
I think he would still love us the same way.
So he would still love us the same way.
Yeah.
Would he be able to fully express
Yeah,
his
how would
love?
he manifest that?
How can he show us his love?
That's a heated question.
Yeah. It's getting
I'm blank right now.
Look at him. Do you have anything?
Nothing.
Okay.
I don't know.
How do you know God loves you?
I mean, he gave me life.
He gave you life.
Yeah.
Okay.
See, because how do we know God loved us? He came and died on the cross for us. But if Adam and Eve never sinned, he never had to do that. So I think, but here's the thing. The Garden of Eden in and of itself was the full manifestation of God's love. So first off, God is love.
Yes.
So God's presence around us is his full manifestation of love.
Yes.
Whether that's, the Son, the Father, the Holy Spirit, all of them are full manifestations of love because it is God. So when God the Father is with them in the Garden of Eden, he is the full love. That is expressing the full love. That's my answer.
Beautifully answered. Beautifully answered.
Ooh,
now my follow-up question.
Oh no.
Would we know how to fully love if we didn't sin?
Yes.
How?
Because I believe that obedience is love. Obedience takes a large amount of humility and a larger amount of love.
Okay.
So I think if Adam and Eve never ate of the fruit, they don't have a choice but to love God fully, because they have to obey and abide in his law, and they have to abide with him. And if
in that case, why did we have free will? We're stressing on that. I feel bad.
Because God loves us completely.
Because we wouldn't be loving him back
That's
if it wasn't free will.
Because
it would have been a
need
robotic love.
Not because we wouldn't need him. Sorry, I didn't mean to say that. Yeah.
Right.
I get what you're saying.
So if I didn't know sin, my only choice is to love him, and therefore I didn't choose to love him.
I think.
And you said in the beginning of this episode that love is a choice.
It is a choice. Actually, before we started recording, I said that. Love's a choice.
Oh, I forgot. Was that before we? I forgot. Was that before?
I mean, I gotta show Bola and Sandra this. Love is a choice.
Love is a choice, and therefore, without free will,
because we couldn't have. I was about to say, if we only had one option, we're not. Because it's so much more when you choose to love something.
Absolutely.
It's so much more than when you have no other choice, because then you don't like it. You just kind of like whatever.
A priest gave me an analogy before that shook me to my core. Okay, maybe this
Thank
is
you,
a
Mona.
little too dramatic for viewers. But, so, as you know that after Adam and Eve sinned, Eve's punishment was that she was going to have a painful birthing process.
Yes.
This was very clearly spelled out in Genesis.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What would have happened if there wasn't a painful birthing process?
I see where you're going with this one too.
If there wasn't a painful birthing process, let's say it didn't take 9 months, let's say it took a few minutes, and it didn't hurt, and there were no bonds made during pregnancy, and there was no effort made during labor, would that mother love her child the same way as if she had gone through all of that for the sake of her child's life?
It is impossible.
And therefore, God allowed us to sin because there was so much more to experience through it. It is part of his free will. Did he want it? Did he want mankind to? And again, like, I'm down to point anything out as heresy. Does he want us to suffer? Does he want
No.
us to be poisoned? He didn't want any of this. But there was value in allowing it.
Just like the same way, like you go to the story of Job. Satan literally went up and said,
Perseverance.
Hey, can I take everything away from him
Can I ruin this man?
and basically kill him without killing him?
He didn't take away his health.
He
That's
did.
the only- Except
hold
the
on.
boils. Except the boils.
So at first he went to God. And
Yeah,
he said everything, and God said everything but his body.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
Satan said, nah, I have to mess with him. So he would mess with his whole body until dude was literally like
Yeah.
gushing
Near
out
death.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like that same thing where it's like, you know, sometimes God lets us go through things. And this is even in our own lives. Like God lets us go through things. Why? So that we can experience him more because, you know.
Ivana waiting behind the laptop, tortured. She's going through this for a reason.
What do you mean torture?
Tortured and boredom.
But I have a point. Like, God makes you go through all the hardships, you have a reason to go back to him.
That's very
No
true.
one could hear that.
Okay, I'll say it again. Ivana said, God.
Ivana, come on screen. This should have been Batani's role. Ivana, come on screen.
She's right there.
Ivana has something to share with us.
You have to say it.
What am I saying?
What you just said. God.
God puts us all. Wait, God puts us through all the hardships so that we have a reason to come back to Him. Because if everything was perfect, we would lose like that connection.
Just forget about him.
Wait, I'm gonna make a connection. And therefore we would forget to whom the credit is due and fall into pride.
Let's
Wow.
go.
Wow.
Thank you. I was thinking about how I'm gonna pull this back to pride.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's a lot to unpackage.
Yeah.
My brain is.
And I think I gotta
Right.
rewatch this episode just to understand the first point.
Yeah, we covered a lot.
A little too
This
much.
is good stuff. I love
Yeah.
philosophy.
Karen, we should have you on one more time.
I'm never studying philosophy. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah,
Really?
that's
You would do amazing at it.
my brain.
My
just
brain's
did a whole
fried, Karen. I've been here for
360.
20
this
minutes.
is good. Something
But
to challenge
Honestly,
episode
I
of all
like
time.
I like that I saw your point of view of it.
you. I
Because
appreciate that.
if I like, no, the thing is,
Like, he's looking at me.
because I just didn't think about it that way at all.
Yeah, that was.
Like that, I would have never learned or heard that in like 30 years of my life.
No, you would have.
I mean, yeah, but
would've
like
heard it before that,
it's
huh?
You would have heard it.
it's just like I don't know. It was confusing, but it all like came together.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to watch this at least like 5 times.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there are far more loose ends now than there were before. But your mind is open to a new way of thinking.
Mm-hmm.
You guys would be good at philosophy as long as you do it the right way.
I don't know about you guys, but maybe Isaiah.
No,
Yeah.
but you
Come on, Mona,
you
you got it.
digested this very well.
Hey, she said the right way, so you know. Yeah, I'm not going to go into the relative truth thing again. I was about to.
No, right way.
All right. That'll be y'all. Thank you, Karen, very much. We'll definitely
my
have
We
pleasure.
you on
appreciate
again.
for
you.
having me.
We hope to have you again.
Oh, thank you. I
No
appreciate that. Maybe we can plan a road map conversation.
We can.
Oops.
Oh, so
Or
good.
maybe we should just say that line again. Sorry.
All right,
We should
3,
prepare a
2, 1.
What was I gonna say?
road map.
Something.
Oh, okay. Maybe next time we'll plan a conversation and take it from a point
Oh,
A
yeah,
to point
yeah.
B.
Yeah. This had about 25 and a half seconds of preparation.
Did it?
Yeah.
I feel like we would have been more prepared if it did.
Okay, maybe 1 second. All right, guys, that's all. Thank you very much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe.
Post notifications.
Thanks, everyone. These guys are awesome.
Yeah, obviously. All right, that's all.
Pride and humility.
I want to turn it off.
Yeah. Karen, I promise you, I'm on this door.